NBA 2K24 was the definition of an emotional roller coaster. The game had the widest range of highs and lows in 2K history. Before we get into 2K24, we need to wind it back a little bit to 2K23 so we can understand why players were weary going into 2K24. 2K23 left the community in the lowest we've ever been. From the MT bans to the 250k tournament bans, people were upset with the company and there were many reasons to be. In 2K23, we lost many content creators and even next makers began leaving the program. By the end of the year, 2K was on thin ice with many players and content creators. In a sense, it was more important than ever for 2K to come up with a good game. As we enter the new year, 2K24 arrived with some crazy changes, guys, and set it apart from 2K23 big time. Among these was the departure of our beloved auction house, which we knew already and we were not looking forward to. It was replaced by the much criticized player market. Initially, none of us liked it. We were ready for the worst, but by the end of the season, the consensus was that, it wasn't that bad. That opinion would definitely change later, but we'll get into that later. The new year brought not just changes, but innovations. Enter salary cap mode, 2K's replacement for the limited mode from previous years. This fresh edition, every card's value fluctuated based on its popularity, or it was supposed to. It took them a while to get that figured out. Some of these prices were crazy and some cards were super underpriced. It was pretty weird. To this day, I'm not a salary cap guy, so I don't know if they did get it figured out, but I hope they did. But I know the beginning of the year is really wonky. Each season, we got 3 different rewards leading to the grand finale reward. And they ended up being pretty good throughout the year. The XP system underwent a major transformation. Gone were the days of content-based XP. No more grinding specific cards or worrying about original owner cards. Now XP was purely about gameplay. It made the process a lot faster for some, but it did bring a few different challenges. Holo cards, once they were collector's item, there were a lot of people in the community collecting these holo cards, but we got some more value from them, but the rarity skyrocketed, guys. So without there being an auction house, there's no way for people to build these collections up. It was great for the overall people in the game because, you pull a holo card, the value was worth way more at MT, but it did hurt a certain community. Season 1 kicked off with a bang, introducing 2 diamond cards, Kyrie Irving and Brandon Roy. Kyrie emerged as a standout point guard at the time when size wasn't really everything. Players were presented with 2 versions of Kyrie, one being the free tier, one the pro pass tier. Brandon Roy, meanwhile, not so many people got him. I mean, people got him, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people didn't really want to take on that workload to unlock him. You have to pretty much complete everything in season 1, including every single game mode reward, the level 40, all the token cards and all that. And it just kind of lowered the appeal of Brandon Roy to a lot of players. The Pro Pass also brought Ruby Giannis, who ended up being an amazing card, played through like season 2 for a lot of people. While he may not have been a great shooter, his skill across the rest of the court really helped make the game really easy. He played crazy defense, finished at the rim extremely well, but how exclusive this card was raised eyebrows because we all knew how 2K is. It starts with a Ruby Giannis. Where is this going to end? It hinted at a lot of potential issues down the line. With the player market being introduced also came the deal of the day. With the prices on these cards being skyrocketed, every day 2K gave us one card that they took off a different percentage off the card to make it easier to obtain. This allowed for some players to add new players to their squad or even work towards a collection, while others took it as a chance to gamble and see if they could make some profit. Our Holo Goat, Holo J provided daily posts showing us how high the card grade would have to be on these cards in order for them to be profitable. Before diving into the game at all, everyone was quick to grab the Spurs intro pack, guys. Gold Wemby literally ran the game for like the first week. Pre-patch, he was a force to be reckoned with. But 2K wasn't gonna let that last forever. They nerfed his speed to the ground. I think he went down like 25 speed. He still ended up being an amazing card and a really long lifespan for a gold card, definitely. The first major pack content was Legendary Path. This set offered sets that rewarded an amethyst card for each individual set, and when you complete the entire collection, you get Diamond Shaq. Shaq was an absolute powerhouse in the paint, and he was honestly unstoppable to most defenders. People were really out here using like Brian Reeves just to have enough strength to stop Shaq. It was a crazy time to live in. Even though it was achievable to finish this set by the top grinders or the people spending money, the grind wasn't easy for the average player. And if you did want to spend money, I think it was going to cost you about $150, which is kind of insane, honestly. As players are starting to get worried about Shaq's dominance, 2K introduced a set featuring Steph Curry. Steph Curry was a great card, don't get me wrong. But, you know, with how great Shaq was, it was kind of starting to get worrisome that, you know, in order to compete or field a competitive team, you had to complete these sets. So although Curry being great, it was a fresh breath air seeing that these cards weren't all going to be super overpowered. Alongside Curry came the fast break set, which is a fully grindable set that ended with Amethyst Draymond Green. Draymond's skill really only showed when you duel them with Curry, but without Curry on the court, he really wasn't that good of a card. Well, I'm gonna just say he was trash, but with the duo, he was actually pretty solid. After Curry, you got the perfect build set, which ended up with the Diamond KD. KD, once again, a great addition to any team. Wasn't overpowered by any means, allowing a balance like for rewarding those who invested the time and money, but also not hurting the people that didn't want to. Then, here comes my favorite part. This came the real gauntlet, not the patty cake gauntlet, the marshmallow gauntlet, the participation trophy gauntlet that we ended the year with. Winning 15 triple threat online games in a row wasn't easy, but the reward was a Diamond Chris Bosh. For the time was a really great card. This challenge reignited a lot of the competitive edge amongst the community, even brought us a couple epic showdowns, especially we still got to see Ty Debo versus Splash, which was a movie, guys. Next up, we got Pyramid of Power, which introduced a new controversy. Instead of being a straightforward grind that most people were looking forward to, players had to buy the first 5 Sapphire cards to get through the pyramid. The most budget-friendly way to do it was to buy one at a time, grind that one card, and resell it. Even though that method wasn't terrible, it still wasn't great because the value dropped super low once you bought the Sapphire card, so you weren't making your money back at all. D-Wade, great card, really good point guard, just wasn't worth that hassle to most people. Reflecting on season 1, the pacing was great. Amethyst cards remained relevant throughout the whole season. Like we got cards like Devin Booker that played for a long time, like Nate Thurman, Joe Dumars, Jason Williams. You know, a lot of these Amethyst cards played for a long time because we only got 7 diamonds throughout the season. So it was, I think the longevity of these cards was great. The player market wasn't perfect, but it definitely had its upside, even though the resale value was trash. The sets were challenging, but not impossible. So that's going to close out chapter 1. Let's get into season 2 and see what season 2 had in store for us. Season 2 started off with a bang, adding into the game Diamond Wilt Chamberlain as a level 40 reward and Diamond SGA as the ultimate reward. Shea ended up being the best point guard in the game for a good while and was definitely worth grinding your life away. Wilt was also a great player. Although he couldn't shoot, he was good, free, and he was a Shaq stopper. He also was lights out at the rim and on defense. 2K announced that they'd be releasing Liftoff Michael Jordan, the first buyable diamond card in the game. This left the community wondering at what cost. This card was going to set the market for weeks to come. 273k MT, 195k VC, or about $50. Different people felt different ways about that price, but at least they set the standard. Accompanying MJ was a Diamond Melo and Tim Duncan. Both cards were solid, but it went back to being collection rewards. Following Liftoff, 2K did something that the community often complains they don't do enough. They incorporated the real NBA into the game. They brought us NBA's backpacks, including all the reward winners from last year. They also gave us a locker code for the set. 2 good things in a row. That really doesn't happen too often with 2K, but when that does happen, we kind of know what happens next. 2K dropped a Freaky set. Look, don't get me wrong, I actually like the Freaky set. The issue is that it was the entire Halloween promo. Just a set, nothing to grind, just the set. We got great cards like PG-13, Magic, and Chet, but in no world is a paid set a holiday promo. All we got was a locker code with a chance for a pack. Like literally, that's all it was, a chance. Freaky was followed by a great set in tournament battles. In my opinion, this was the perfect way to do a promo. It was grindable, it incorporated the real NBA, and it gave us a lot of great cards. The way this promo worked was every team got a designated player to represent them in the NBA in-season tournament. If your team advanced, the card got an upgrade. For the players that made it all the way to the end, they ended up being diamond cards. Diamond Jared Vanderbilt ran on my team for a really long time, and I got him pretty late. In season 2, we got another gauntlet, which was good. It's just the card wasn't really that good. You had to win 15 clutch time games in a row for Diamond Joe Johnson. A lot of players still gave it a shot just for the challenge, but most agreed that Joe Johnson just wasn't that good. One thing 2K did great in season 2 was involve real life basketball. They brought us our first moments card, but they rewrapped the promo calling it 2K numbers promo. Tyrese Maxey was a first edition and was added to the packs and the player market. The card was ass, but it was a step in the right direction. The last big set of the season brought King James home in a majestic promo. This set was so juiced, guys. It wasn't an easy grind, but brought home 3 players who were arguably the best of their position in Diamond Kareem, Diamond James Harden, and Diamond Bron. On top of those cards, we got Diamond Jaylen Brown, who was pretty good, Diamond Pascal Siakam, Amethyst Michael Beasley, who was an absolute budget demon. You can ask Ant live about Michael Beasley. I hope you watch this on stream, man. Cade Cunningham was a solid Ami also. The set as a whole was just a huge dub. 2K showed that they indeed did know how to do a holiday promo. The Thanksgiving promo involved having to collect all 15 food items to unlock a diamond card. At the time, there was not a lot of diamond cards in the game, and you're almost guaranteed to pull something good, or at least something to help you finish the set. You earn the chance to the food item after each win in any game mode. They also gave a W locker code for some free MT. W promo. Black Friday was pretty good as a whole, but we got a discounted card that hadn't been released yet. Like, how could a card be discounted when they never had a price? And also, it was VC only. If you were a Jeremy Lin fan, there's literally no way to get this card except for spending VC. This was the first time in 2K history, I believe, that this was the only way to get a card. If you played my team, you had to spend money if you wanted this Jeremy Lin. As a whole, Season 2 was a definition of a roller coaster. The highs were high, but the lows were really low. I feel like they provided a lot more content compared to Season 1, but there was always something to do. Looking back, there might actually be one of my favorite seasons, but we'll decide that later. For now, let's get on to Season 3. Season 3 of My Team has some pretty big shoes to fill going into the season. They started off well, introducing the 3 first pink diamond cards in the game, level 40 being Jimmy Butler, the ultimate reward being Kevin Garnett, and we got a new reward added where you had to play a certain amount of games in any game mode of your choice, but it was far from easy. Completing this challenge earned you Pink Diamond Hakeem Olajuwon. The first player to accomplish this was Mr. First in the World himself, Two-Way Dream. 2K definitely fumbled the bag with the level 40 rewards this season. Jimmy Butler was definitely a solid card, but everything else was trash leading up to it. As opposed to the normal system of having different rewards like packs, MT, and VC at each level, we just got different anniversary cards. The issue with these cards was just none of them were good. They started from gold all the way to diamond, but by the time we got to the diamond cards, they just didn't really play. The first pack was a fun concept, being the 25th anniversary drop. 2K had pretty much any player that's ever been cheesy in 2K, from the pre-My Team days like Gerald Green, all the way to the My Team GOATs like Danny Ferry, Tim Thomas, and Bol Bol. The 2 best cards to come from this set were arguably Diamond Luol Deng and Amethyst Nick Young, who stole the show. 2K took a lowercase W by adding an Evo into the game for the all-time domination reward Pau Gasol. It was a good gesture just to show players that their time wasn't wasted. He wasn't the best card, but it kept him up with the pacing of the game in a way. I think, as we all know, every time 2K does something decent, they have to fumble somewhere. As DBG said, people were making 15 million MT in 15 minutes. 2K dropped the Season Rewind set where they highlighted this collection with Diamond Kuzma and Diamond Gobert. The issue with that, you're able to buy each of these cards for 1K MT a piece. People were buying these cards, just repeatedly selling them over and over and over again at diamond value. 2K issued no punishment, which was fine, because it wasn't a glitch, it was a careless mistake on their end, but the make right was absolute garbage. People who didn't do the glitch got one of the collection diamonds, while other people got millions of MT and got away scotch-free. Along the way in Season 3 tournament battles, cards began to get diamond evos, which was great to help them keep up with the pace of the game. With it being mostly diamonds, no viable pink diamonds at this point, some of the evos were really good. My 2 standouts were Jared Vanderbilt and Benedict Mathurin. On December 7th, 2K brought us the masterpiece of a set that almost anyone would agree was the best set of the year, the Tista Season set. This set was far from cheap, but man, it was worth it. The set brought us some of the monstrous diamonds on the way to a pink diamond Kobe Bryant. The first set alone, Tista Season Pass, brought us Diamond D-Rob, Diamond Ron Artest, and Diamond Penny Hardaway. It also had Ray Allen, but Each of the 3 mentioned cards brought a change to the game. D-Rob's one of the first centers who could legitimately do it all. He shot the ball well, played great defense, and finished well at the rim. Ron Artest came out as the best on-ball defender in the game and was no slouch on the offensive side as well. Penny was the first tall point guard that actually had the stats to play. Along with the purchasable or pack cards, they also released daily grindable cards that you need to complete the Kobe set, but these cards were obviously not as good. With the Tis the Season set, they kind of alternated between expensive sets and a little bit cheaper sets, so the next set was one of the cheaper ones. Tis the Season Past Meets Present brought a collection that resulted in Diamond Iguodala. None of the other cards were really noticeable, and even Iggy wasn't really that great, to be honest. 2K continued the gauntlet going into the Season 3, but this gauntlet was kind of met with some drama. The reward was a Diamond Lamar Odom, which was a decent card, but the issue was it took 12 unlimited games in a row to get him. It was a task most people weren't up for, like 12 30-minute games in a row just to lose one. It would have had to been a great card for it to be worth it, and Lamar Odom just wasn't that. One big issue that players complained about last year was the fact that we got no moments cards. In Season 2, we got Diamond Tyrese Maxey, which was in packs and purchasable with MT. But how's it that when we receive a good card in Pink Diamond Giannis, he was only in collections and packs? That was a big step backwards. Tis the Season Present brought us another juggernaut of a set. The purchasable cards including Diamond Anthony Davis, who most agree was one of the best power forwards in the game. For some reason, he's got animations that other bigs just didn't get. Next, we have Kawhi, who speaks for himself. If you landed him and somehow got round our test from the first set, you were definitely ready to clamp up anybody. Diamond Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday were definitely good cards, but not really game-changing. The set resulted in Diamond Devin Booker, which players were really excited for because anyone who used the Amethyst card in Season 1 loved it. The Diamond definitely didn't disappoint. Moving back over to one of the cheaper sets, 2K brought us Tis the Season Present meets Future. For a cheaper set, this card has some banger budget cards. OG Anunoby actually played for me for a really long time. He had a slow jump shot, but it was knocked down once you timed it, and his defense, in my opinion, was on par with the likes of Diamond Kawhi. Darius Garland was a small guard, but he was one of the first cards with an extremely fast jump shot. The headliner, believe it or not, was Ruby Nicholas Claxton. Somehow 2K made a mistake and gave him an 88 3-ball, which everybody knows Nicholas Claxton can't shoot the ball at all. They made him one of the best budget power forwards in the game. The reward was Diamond Tyrese Halliburton, which was lacking. His shot was bad. He just wasn't really that good of a card. But this set left one big question. Where's Wemby? A few days before Christmas, we got a new Domination, which landed us another grindable pink diamond. For the 2K anniversary Domination, you get Damian Lillard. Nobody really wanted him, but it was still a nice gesture, I guess. Right after the Domination, 2K added the pack with every Hall of Fame badge in the game. With Kobe right around the corner, this was a crazy drop. People were ready to make Kobe a literal demigod, but they didn't know they were going to have a choice to make. Almost immediately after they dropped the Hall of Fame badges in the pack market, it was announced that Tis the Season Future was going to be headlined by Victor Wembanyama. Not only a regular Victor Wembanyama, a pink diamond Wemby. The card everybody's been waiting for since Gold Wemby. Even though it hasn't came out yet, everybody knows Wemby was going to be center one. The holiday promo was a phenomenal one. For each win, you receive a pack that would result in a present or Cole. The present could be redeemed for a Diamond Patrick Ewing and other rewards like a deluxe pack and MT. Along with the regular Christmas promo, 2K began dropping all of the cards needed for legendary path agendas. At this point, there was enough shooting big men to where Shaq was a little outdated, but surprisingly, there was still a lot of hype around this announcement. No money spent players were ready to bring Shaq home. On Christmas Day, 2K released 2 locker codes. The first one being the primetime set. This set included one player from each team that played on Christmas Day. By redeeming this code, you got to pick one player from each game. If their team wins, they get an Evo the Amethyst. Not the biggest W in the world, but still fun to see the game and kind of a reason to watch if you're not really too much into basketball. The second was going to be the Christmas locker code, which most people had strong criticism for. For one, it wasn't a choice pack, it was a ball drop. 2, the diamonds they chose just weren't very good. The main upside was that you had the chance to get one of the pricier cards for the Majestic or Tis the Season sets. The day after the Christmas promo, we transitioned to the New Year's promo. The presents turned into fireworks and you could earn the same rewards as before, but the difference was the player was going to be RJ Barrett. You had the chance to pair him with Patrick Ewing, making one of the better duos in the game. Most people didn't like Ewing, but he did everything amazing besides shoot. Even then, he could shoot the ball well. His shot was just really slow. The Christmas gifts did not stop after Christmas. The day after Christmas was the infamous Paul George glitch. When the deal of the day was announced, this was the moment we've all been waiting for. They released a card that sold more than we could actually buy him for. The card was originally $144K, but he was discounted all the way down to $30K. People were repeatedly doing this, getting crazy MT gains. Everyone had Pink Diamond Kobe, Pink Diamond Wemby, and all the best cards in the set. People were worried that after the first MT glitch that maybe the punishments would be rolling out. So this time they put the cards all into sets but just didn't redeem them. So when 2K did eventually remove the MT, they still had a bunch of cards they were able to quick sell just from sets they didn't lock in. Season 3 was packed with content, and the next set didn't disappoint. The New Year's resolution set brought a set of Evo cards that added stats to players in categories that they were known to be batted. It also brought the first purchasable pink diamond in the market with Luka, who evolved into a souped up defender, with Clay that earned more finishing, but notably it brought us the headache that was Dikembe Mutombo. He evolved into a diamond and was one of the best centers in the game. The issue was evoing him. It was nearly impossible. Making threes with his Amethyst Dikembe was nearly impossible. People were doing the real player percentage, semi-pro challenges, and they just weren't getting any success. On New Year's Day, we received Pink Diamond Chet Holmgren, who was earnable by getting 200 blocks in any game mode. When I say this card was good, I really mean it. He lacked strength, but he would get some block animations that were insane, even when players took him all the way to the rim. He got some block animations that you just wouldn't believe. And also, he was a knockdown shooter, and he held down the power forward position for me for a very long time. Every year in 2K, there's a new card introduced that hasn't had a card in the past. These cards are always juiced with the best SIGs. In previous years, we've had cards like Tim Thomas, Danny Ferry. This year's players were supposed to be Adam Morrison. In the rewritten set, 2K brought us some of the biggest what-ifs in NBA history, then gave them great cards. We received good cards like Diamond Kwame Brown, Greg Oden, and Adam Morrison was an amazing card, but he wasn't quite that Tim Thomas everyone was expecting. When it all finished up, Season 3 was one of the most content-packed seasons we've had at this point. Although Tista's season set was very pricey, it ended up with 2 cards that ran through many seasons. All the individual sets besides Tista's season were impactful in some way. We received locker codes, promos, and grinds. You name it, this season had it. Season 4 just had to take the baton and run with it, but if you played my team, you know what comes next in this story. Season 4 brought us the game changer of a level 40 reward with Pink Diamond Magic Johnson. The card definitely had its flaws, but at the time it came out, it was just too easy to score with him. The only point guard that can guard him was Penny Hardaway pretty much, but even then, he was just such a big body, he just mashed. If you didn't have Penny, you didn't have a chance. 2K also revamped the game rewards that was changed the trajectory of the game in my opinion. Instead of releasing cards a tier below the meta for each game mode, at the beginning of the season, they started to release rewards weekly, 1 month at a time, starting with Pink Diamond Thurl Bailey, which was earned by winning a total of 20 unlimited games. Season 4 seemed like a grinder's paradise, starting with the Inferno set. This was the first set where every card was grindable, and it included amazing cards. The grind was far from easy, but nearly every card played. You had lower tier cards like Amethyst Jim Jones, who had a fast jumper that was perfect for offline modes, but I even used them online a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. Amethyst DeAndre Ayton was a great budget center who could stretch the floor a little bit, but Diamond Paolo played way better than his overall showed. He was definitely a pink diamond in disguise. AK-47 was a perfect 3-and-D player. He can guard 1 through 4 and some 5s. His jumper took a while to get used to, but he made his shots. People were afraid to try out Steph, but anyone who did knows how good this card was. This card was getting paint stops against centers, dunking on Wemby, and of course doing regular Steph Curry things like breaking ankles and hitting from Limitless. The headliner T-Mac finished over just about anyone at the rim and was a great shot creator. Overall, this set was a perfect way to start a season, a fully grindable set where 4 of the cards could make most people's starting lineups. The next step in Season 4 was the next edition of the Gauntlet. Winning 7 straight triple threat games would land you Pink Diamond Roy Hibbert, a big body center who could bang with the best of them. His jumper was a little shaky, but greenable, and he was a beast in the paint. On MLK Day, we got a locker code for a deluxe pack, and 3 of the 4 packs were bangers. The ball drop included Rewritten, New Year's Resolution, and Tis the Season Future. The only really way to lose was to get an Inferno set, considering the whole set was grindable. 2K24 was the first year in the wild that they were consistently releasing content that was related to the real NBA. In Season 4, this continued with another Season Rewind set. This set was headlined with Pink Diamond Karl Anthony Towns and Jaylen Brown. Overall, the card that players were most hyped about was going to be Pink Diamond Joel Embiid, but the set also brought us the Budget Demon and Julius Strawther. Although in the duo, Season 4 brought us the first Opal cards in the game with Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan. Most people consider Scotty to be better considering we had a faster jumper, but both cards are great. The set was an overall W with a lot of playable cards. We got budget cards like Amethyst Kobe Shaq, Evo the Diamonds, also Amy LeBron and D Wade. We got Mr. Lucky number 13 himself, Karl Malone, who's one of the better power forwards in the game, and he can run at the small forward. Anyone who used Joe Dumars knows how much of an on-ball pest he really was. He was a set it and forget it kind of player who get a bunch of on-ball steals with the best defenders in the game. Sometimes 2K has a bad habit of bringing back things that just weren't really asked for. In Season 4, they brought back the Pyramid of Power, bringing Pink Diamond DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan was actually a pretty good card, but the issue was it just wasn't worth the price to grind him. Especially since the only card in the set that people really were hyped about was Diamond Mike Miller. But soon after we did get a grind that was worthwhile, 2K brought us a new numbers card, which was the first one that was grindable. We received Pink Diamond Joel Embiid that was actually a top tier center, and all you had to do was score 70 points in any game mode. With a Jim Jones or Kyle Korver type card, this was extremely easy. Shortly after we received another grind in NBA Rivals Week, they released daily challenges that rewarded the unnamed Pink Diamond at the end. They ended up giving us a Pink Diamond Luka based on his huge performance during the week. The next grind in line was the Path to All-Star grind. Every day leading the All-Star game, they released a new agenda that you had to complete with a player from the previous day. The final card here was Pink Diamond Jason Richardson, which was a disappointment. You know, they said a Pink Diamond, but what did we expect? The next grindable set wasn't quite up to par with Inferno, but it was still good to see 2K giving us grindable content. The level up set brought a set of cards that all Evo to the headliner being Kyle Korver. This set wasn't terrible, but nothing too exciting. Pink Diamond Tyson Chandler was next in line of the incredible grinds of Season 4. Anyone who played with any Tyson Chandler card this year could tell you he was a demon. His jumper was butter, and he was Defensive Player of the Year for a reason. The 4-5 combination of him and Chet Holmgren were a force to be reckoned with. 2K tried to do a good thing, emphasis on tried. They completely shoved Myteam Mobile in our face. What did we get for it? People started getting their accounts permanently deleted. This was actually like a crazy thing going around on Twitter. Everybody thought the guy was trolling for a while, but it ended up being true. People were actually getting their accounts deleted from playing Myteam Mobile. Those that got their accounts deleted didn't even get their account fully restored. The best they got was a handful of the best players they had. Myteam Mobile ended up being a great app, but this definitely was a terrible start. Lunar New Year was headlined by Pink Diamond Yao Ming and was the beginning of the end. Probably not for the reason you would think. Obviously the big hype was around Yao Ming, but honestly the card was extremely disappointing. People were waiting for 2K to release an overpowered card, and they assumed Yao Ming was going to be it, but he wasn't. Anyone who saw Amethyst Michael Beasley, they knew he was extremely glitchy. The issue here was that the only way you could possibly get this new Pink Diamond one was out of packs. If you didn't pull them, you couldn't use them. At the time, people were definitely alarmed by this, but nobody really batted their eyes too much, and they didn't know it was eventually going to come. February 15th, 2024, a day that will be one of the most impactful dates in Myteam history. 2K debuted the set that will pave the way for content the rest of the year. A new tier that has never been in 2K, 100 overall cards. It was obvious how amazing this card was going to be, but nobody really knew what it meant for the future of 2K. For weeks, months, people were waiting on updated SIGs on cards, faster jumpers, even better dribble styles and more. On February 15th, we got them, but on cards you couldn't buy. We received cards for every all-star player, but the only ones you could actually buy were Pink Diamond cards. How could you get the opals? By locking in every Pink Diamond from the East or the West. People were selling a whole lot for these packs, spending extreme amounts of money, but how do you get Kareem? You don't. I grinded harder than I ever grinded ever in 2K, sold everything I had, and thinking this was going to be a one-off. We weren't going to see another 100 overall card in a long time. But man, was I wrong. All-Star Weekend is always a key moment in Myteam every year. This year was the downfall. All the best cards, packs only. All-Star Weekend winners, packs only. This season went from being a season with the best grindable content we've had to being a complete disaster. Season 5 was headlined by Galaxy Opal James Harden and Zion Williamson. Both cards were solid and two of the few obtainable opals in the game, but that was not enough considering what the first set of the season was. 100 overall Kareem led to a lot of speculation on what content would be moving forward. But with the Wild Wild West set, these questions were all answered. This set was headlined by 100 overall Shaq. Back-to-back weeks we had 100 overall cards that were almost impossible to pull. That was showcased by everyone's favorite streamer, Troydan. Troydan spent $3,252.85 trying to pull a 100 overall shag. Take a second to think about that. A lot of people don't make that much in a month. He spent that money on 2K and didn't even pull the best card in the set. We've always known that the less than 2% was always going to be closer to 0 than it was to 2, but this really opened everybody's eyes. It was especially pitiful that 2K dangled one of the most loved players in NBA history, Kobe Bryant, in our face. Some people speculate that Kobe being hidden behind a paywall may have been the reason why he was eventually taken out of the game, but we'll speak more on that later. Also in the set was going to be Opal D-Rob, making it a trifecta of great cards that you couldn't buy in the market, making 3 players that would start in almost anyone's lineup, leading to FOMO and frustration, feeling like you needed to pull packs to field a competitive team. The lock-in cards were lackluster, they weren't even mentioned in the graphic. L number 2 in Season 5 was the debut of the Coliseum. This was kind of just a dumb idea for a set of agendas for a new arena. One of the agendas actually involved collecting a certain amount of cards, which was just pretty ridiculous. L number 3. 3 L's in a row is kind of crazy actually. They added Tracy McGrady into the pack market at a discounted price. How could you make something at a discount that was a free grind this season that goes beyond me? The season wasn't fully negative. Season 5 introduced a weekly grind that we became accustomed to. This season the theme was called Rush. As opposed to going over each week's cards, I'll cover them all at once. Essentially each week they release a set of agendas where they all gathered to get one major card. If you complete the whole set, you get an opal. The sets did bring us some solid budget cards like Austin Reeves, James Worthy, and Andrew Wiggins, so it was a minor W. The leap year set brought another 100 overall on Kevin Garnett, along with desirable opal cards like Lonzo Ball, one of the taller point guards, Gerald Wallace, and Rudy Gay, 2 Myteam legends. Notice a trend here? You don't want to just pull one of these cards, you want all these cards, while the pink diamonds didn't see the court for anyone's team. Myteam promo packs were the laughing stock of the 2K community. VC only packs where they dangled the newest cards in front of our face, while we all knew nobody would get them. I don't know anyone who actually participated in these packs outside of the one you get from the ring each week. I'm going to be honest with you guys, for the rest of these promos, I'm only going to talk about the packs if there's like an important card in there, because there's no point just keep talking about these 100 overall cards that nobody got. Starting with the iconic set, one of these cards you actually could buy was really good. Pink Diamond Franz Wagner was a budget beast, a 6'10 card who could play the 2 guard and could do pretty much anything from the field. With the right shoe boost and badges, he played for a lot of really good teams. On February 7th, LeBron James broke the all-time scoring record. You may be wondering why I'm talking about this in Season 5. That's because it was completely ignored until March 11th. In that month span, we got no content revolving around the most historic event in NBA history. Eventually, they added a new domination that capped off with an opal LeBron that was worse than the other opal. 2K really thought they cooked with this tweet. You could now grind a team of Galaxy Opal players. The issue here is that every single one of these cards could be replaced with a better card that was hidden behind the paywall. James Worthy and James Harden were honestly the only 2 solid cards that were on this graphic. I said I was done talking about promos unless they were impactful. Here's the first one. The Nebular set debuted Dark Matter cards. Both Dark Matters and Opals were still behind packs. They debuted Dark Matters in the true 2K fashion by bringing out Dark Matter Victor Wembanyama alongside 100 overall Tracy McGrady. Wembanyama was another card that players felt that if they missed out on him, they were going to be at a huge disadvantage. There were no centers at his size besides Yao Ming, who was extremely slow. The Easter promo was decent at best, very similar to the December promo where you gather eggs to complete exchanges. It was nice that you can get deluxe packs from the promo, but it's a little slap in the face by giving us a ball drop for an opal card where all the options were probably some of the least wanted opals in the game at that point. Once again, they really thought they cooked with this one. This locker code seemed good at first glance, but almost everyone ended up with diamond cards or pink diamond cards at best. Very few got an opal. It was pretty misleading when you read it at first, but then people started to realize quickly that the locker code was trash. Season 4 walked so Season 5 can run. This was the first season where negative outweighed positive in a landslide. A lot of content creators, including myself, were ready to give up on the game mode we all loved. Players were dropping left and right. Really the only positive from this season was the weekly grinds, but it was hard to enjoy that with all the other negatives surrounding the season. Season 6 was one of the first seasons that a lot of content creators just did not partake in. A lot of content creators also regretted it. They started the season off with a bang with Dark Matter SGA, who most people consider to be the best point guard for multiple seasons. Honestly, a lot of people ran this card all the way till the end of the game. There was one issue with SGA. His card came with a quick release, which was great, but the card you normally get with the Pro Pass with a different card art actually made it different this time around. The SGA with a very quick release was hidden behind the paywall. Both cards were great, but this started the conversation in the community of how far can 2K really take this. The ultimate reward for Season 6 was Glenn Rice. When everyone was waiting for the next Tim Thomas, we had no clue that it was really going to be in Season 6. This card literally ran until the end of the year. He ran over 100 overall cards, invincible cards, and GOATs. He could do everything on the floor and had the best jumper in the game that was almost impossible to contest. He was the definition of endgame. People were expecting Terry Dishinger to be that same tier, but unfortunately he wasn't. 2K likes to do this thing where they make a card super juiced one year, and in following years they kind of dangle that over our face, and they make them pretty good, but they live off the memories we used to have. Terry D fell into that category. The salary cap reward was Dark Matter Dikembe Mutombo, which people were extremely excited about at first. But boy, once they saw those SIGs, it changed their tune. He was better than expected. People, knew Dikembe Mutombo was a great card, but did not think he was going to get the jumper that he got, and it made him a top tier center. Probably the best in the game at the time. The first set of the season was the Eclipse set. It was the first set that allowed us to purchase Opal players with MT. But guess how good these Opals were? We got little Isaiah Thomas and Steve Nash, the best one being Domantas Sabonis, who was actually mediocre at best. It's crazy how bad the quality of these Opals dropped so bad when you could finally buy them. While 2K was giving us trash Opals in packs, they did actually give us a great Opal card in the locker code. After Marc Gasol retired, we received the free Opal version of his card that also did a duo with Domination Pau Gasol. This was a double W. It made Pau Gasol actually a playable card, and Marc Gasol may not have been the best center in the game, but he was definitely able to compete. This season's weekly grind was called the Bold set. It included some amazing cards. In the first drop alone, we got Dark Matter Steph Curry. If you remember how highly I spoke on the Pink Diamond Steph, this card was just as good. Even with the big point guard meta coming out more, he was still able to compete. Clyde Drexler ended up being one of the best point guards in the game. Bill Russell was an amazing center. Not every week was great, but definitely a lot of these cards played. You may be wondering why this random discounted Dwayne Wade may be on the screen right now. Similar to the Inferno T-Max situation last season, this card was literally in the post-game rewards and was randomly removed just for it to be added to the market, claiming it to be a discount. This was followed by the same thing with Opal Penny Hardaway and Brandon Ingram and pretty much every discounted card we got this season. Arguably the best set of the season was the Stratosphere set. I don't like the hype up cards behind the paywall, but if you did lock this set in, there was no misses. The Dark Matters included Kawhi Leonard, LaMelo Ball, Jonathan Isaac, and Dr. J. Dr. J was so good that he ran for me halfway through Season 8, and I didn't even get him till the next season. This isn't to mention the 100 overall Yao, but we don't talk about 100 overall cards. The lock-in Opals were Gary Payton, Kyle Korver, and Artis Gilmore. They all had their place, and let's not forget Pink Diamond Jonathan Kuminga. He wasn't that good or anything, I just never missed a chance to say cum bucket. In spirit of the NBA playoffs, they began releasing cards for each team in the playoffs in every round. The first round of cards weren't the best, but I'm not gonna lie, Chris Middleton was super slept on. There were a lot of controversies in my team this year, but the biggest one came in Season 6. At the beginning of the year, 2K stated that the Ultimate Collection reward was going to be Kobe Bryant. The days were winding down. They said this card would be available in April. Days were winding down, and they waited to release the news 2 hours before the deadline that we would no longer be getting Kobe Bryant. The replacement was 200 overall cards that didn't even include the two best 100 overall cards in the game with Yao Ming and Tim Duncan. People spent thousands of dollars and hours on top of the money preparing for this card for it to be taken away. With no explanation to this day, there's still no explanation, just speculation. We did not receive any more Kobe cards for the rest of the year. Season 6 was very reminiscent of Season 4 in a sense, where there were so many great things being done just for the entire season to be ruined by one major mistake. Time after time, 2K continued to leave a bad taste in its consumers' mouth. This is really when the talks of nobody playing My Team in 2K25 started. Season 7 started off with a bang in many bad ways, starting with the fact that two of my team's biggest content creators were on the cusp of retiring. DBG went on to begin a new channel based on WNBA content, and Ty Debo moved on to a new gaming lane in college football. Both went on to be very successful in those fields, but were very missed in the community. The level 40 in this season was Dark Matter Nikola Jokic. They took the pay to win aspect to another level, with the paid version being a card that can play point guard. This took the size meta to a new level, and if you had this card, he could dominate the majority of point guards. In this season, they also debuted the GOAT series. Essentially, this set would bring in some of the best NBA players of all time and give them one free card, one Dark Matter for each position, as well as a level 100 and a GOAT card. This set will be released weekly along with the regular set. At first, people were skeptical because it seemed like the Dark Matter cards were essentially just filler cards. Larry Bird, you only really want to play small forward. Jordan, you only really want to be point guard. And T-Mac, you only really want to be point guard or shooting guard. But we did get some cards that ended up being cheesy at any position, like Shaq, LeBron, and Victor Wembanyama. Each week as the cards were released, they were challenged for a free version of their card, where you had to match one of their best games in their career. If you completed each challenge, you would get a Dark Matter Phil Jackson coach. Along with Phil Jackson came Dark Matter Greg Popovich, who you earned from simply winning any game every day for 30 days. Each were great in their own separate ways. Jackson was more offensive and Pop was more defensive. In my opinion, at this point in the game, the defensive boost improved most cards. The salary cap reward this season was Josh Smith. Many people were skeptical because it was obviously going to be a bad card because he's had a historically bad jump shot. But following Dikembe, there had to be a catch. Josh Smith ended up being extremely good, just like Dikembe Mutombo was. The season did kick off with a locker code for an option pack for these Dark Matter cards. Each card was good in their own lane, but the consensus pick was Joel Embiid or Jimmy Butler. Those players able to improve most teams. This season's grind was called the Spark set, with pretty much the same guidelines as last season's. The notable cards this season were Dark Matter Penny Hardaway, Kevin Garnett, and Reggie Lewis, along with Opal, Tyson Chandler, Trevor Ariza, and Jared Vanderbilt. And this time, it wasn't just the highest tier cards that were really good, there was a lot of the lower ones also. This season, the 100 overall cards started to become more obtainable for those who were ready to pay for them anyways. Prior to this pack, it was very easy to just ignore the 100 overall cards because none of us can get them. And some of the Dark Matters are honestly better anyways. But after this pack came out, anybody who was willing to spend the money can get just about every 100 overall card if they spend enough. May 28th marked the tragic death of Bill Walton. Bill Walton was beloved by players and NBA players around the world. 2K paid tribute to Bill with this locker code providing a Dark Matter version of his card along with lifetime agendas. The final unlimited ring was finally announced to be 400 overall cards with Moses Malone, Bob Cousy, Oscar Robinson, and John Havlicek. These cards ended up being extremely mid and didn't play for most people that were able to obtain them. I watched many streams and YouTube videos where players just weren't impressed when they were using them. On June 12th, we lost one of the most notable figures in NBA history. An amazing GM, an iconic player, and the NBA logo. 2K remembered his life with a 100 overall version of his card in my team. Father's Day is a promo that's normally really mid in 2K. This year they actually did a good job. It provided some evos to old cards that made them extremely playable, along with agendas leading to Larry Nance and Rick Barry. And I'm telling you, some of these cards are actually really good. It pains me to say this, but the NBA Finals finished with the Boston Celtics taking home the trophy. The final challenge rewarded us with Dark Matter Jason Tatum, Derek White, Drew Holiday, and the 100 overall Jaylen Brown, the Finals MVP. All of these cards were actually surprisingly good, but everyone was left asking, where's the fifth player? As much as we all wanted Porzingis, there was somewhat of an excuse for him not to give us Porzingis since he was hurt in some of the games. But if we weren't going to get Porzingis, we should have at least got Al Horford, or honestly any fifth key player on the team. But guess what, we did get Porzingis? The next 100 overall card, the Splash Zone. Sickening. The last major set of Season 7 was the next series, debuting a handful of the players that got drafted this year. People were expecting juice SIGs on these cards because 2K has a track record of juicing SIGs for players they don't have in the game yet, and they definitely did this time around. Almost all these cards that weren't point guards had a lot of longevity throughout the game. So Season 7 as a whole wasn't the worst season in the world. The Spark set actually ended up being really good. Some of the sets were a little bit more obtainable, and we did get the NBA Finals content. I would say, there was some, once again, there was some lows, but as a whole, the season ended up being halfway decent. Season 8 kicked off with 2 free GOAT cards in the level 40 path. GOAT Derrick Rose at level 1 and GOAT Kareem at level 40. Rose was almost unplayable, but Kareem was him. Where the controversy came in was with the Pro Pass. One, it gave us a PG GOAT Kareem, who was an amazing card, but the real big deal was that by purchasing the pass, you got an Amethyst Derrick Rose for 2k25. At first I thought it was pretty normal, but after thinking about it, how are they already selling us microtransactions for a game that we have no info on? No details of content, gameplay, an advertisement, literally nothing, but they're already selling us stuff. Another change going into Season 8 was the addition of Invincible cards. This was met with a lot of criticism, mainly because the weekly grind we had become accustomed to was removed in order to add this grind where pretty much you get one random card from the set instead of getting every card from the set. Not even the card you pick, not an option pack, just a random card that was supposedly equal chance. The first Invincible card announced was the Ultimate Reward Tim Duncan. People were extremely excited for this card due to him having the patty base and max stats. This card was definitely worth the grind. Along with Tim Duncan, the salary cap reward was Invincible Penny Hardaway, who also got juice SIGs, and people were looking forward to adding them both to the team. Along with the release of the 2k25 covers, we also received this locker code, where these cards are actually pretty good. We got the Vince Carter and the Jason Tatum cards, and also a WNBA coach, Asia Wilson, which was a W. This season might be a little shorter than others because it was essentially what you would expect from Season 8 to be. Every week there was a new giant release with Manute Bol to Sean Bradley to George Marison, Goat Yao. Every week we had some great cards like 100 overall AK-47, Bol, Goat Giannis, 100 overall SGA. 2K was throwing out locker codes left and right, free Invincibles, free 100 overall cards and more. Everyone had good teams, the game was fun. This is what everybody was waiting for. Finally, we are at the last season. Season 9 was not as good as it could have been, but it was okay. In previous years, the top tier cards were handed out like candy on Halloween. This year, the concept was scaled down drastically. There were no guaranteed GOAT packs, 100 overall packs, or Invincible packs. All the content was essentially a 12% chance at those cards. It was a perfect time to take a break and get ready for 2k25. 2k24 Myteam had its ups and downs. There were more highs than lows, but the lows were extremely low. This is one of the worst years in Myteam history. Many big content creators were ready to give it up. We finally received some information for this year's game, and things are starting to look a little bit better. In 2k25, the auction hall will be back. There is some innovation with the triple threat park and breakout modes. I'm optimistic, and so are many others in the community. Some of these creators that were ready to call it quits are ready to give 2K another chance, but proceed with caution. For now, we can only hope the next year is better, not for the company's sake, but for ours.